Hello YouTube, OwnSoldier86 here. And last time what we did is we cleaned up the back faces and materials that we didn't need for our level so that we could try to optimize our level a little bit so that it'll run faster and the frame rates will run better. And the next stage that we're going to do is we are going to plug all these materials into a format that the GoldenEye Setup editor will be able to read. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the top material here. We're going to right click that material and we're going to rename it. And we're going to rename it room with a capital M 01. And the reason why we're doing that is because, like I said, the GoldenEye Setup editor is looking for a specific title so that it can read the images that we are plugging into the level. It's a little bit confusing, but it's one of those situations where, trust me, it works. And if we don't do this, it will not work. It will not load the level correctly. So we need to make sure that we have this labeled room 01. And what we're going to do is we're going to take every single one of these materials labeled with this little downwards orange triangle, and we are going to click each one and drag them into room 01. Now, if you're a little more advanced, you might be able to understand this a little bit better. Room 01 is referring to the group of objects that we are plugging into this particular room. You can create more rooms. You can create room 02, room 03, room 04, room 05. And what those are going to do is those are going to group these materials in a particular room. So for instance, if I wanted the left side to be grouped as one part, that could be labeled as room 01, and the right side to be labeled as room 02. And with that, I can adjust more advanced things like lighting, which can be done in the GoldenEye Setup editor itself. And so if you're more advanced, you might be able to take advantage of that. I know that if you're looking into doing moving platforms and things like of that nature, you're going to want to consider using different room numbers as well. But we're going to keep things extremely simple. And I'm not even going to worry about lighting. We'll talk about that when we get to GoldenEye Setup Editor, but I like to have my levels full bright so that they can pop out from the backgrounds. And I think that's just the way it works the best. For those that are advanced and can do lighting, good for you. And I would recommend that you separate your rooms accordingly. So with that being said, we are ready to save and we're ready to export. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to File, and we're going to go ahead and save this Blender file. And we're going to find a folder that is labeled. Let's see, it's going to be under GoldenEye Setup Editor, Sonic 2, Mystic. There it is. And we're going to go ahead and label this Mystic. This is just saving the Blender file, so we can relocate this quickly if we need to with all of the objects placed into room 01 the way we had it. We are also going to need to export. This is a little bit tricky, so follow along carefully. We're going to go to File, Export, OBJ. We're basically re-exporting this as a new OBJ file, different from the one that we did from Google SketchUp. This is important. On the left-hand side, we have this channel column here. And on the bottom left-hand side, we have a scroll wheel. We're going to scroll that down. And we're going to find this thing called Path Mode. And it's labeled Auto. We are going to switch that to Copy. And the way what that's going to do is that's going to copy our textures so that it will be into the file that we are placing this new OBJ. And we're going to need to do that so that the GoldenEye Setup Editor can easily find those texture files. A little bit complicated, but trust me, this is something we need to do. We are also going to relabel that as mystic.obj. Blender did that for us already. And then we're going to export. That's all there is to it. So in the next video, we're going to load up the GoldenEye Setup Editor and try loading this level into the actual game.